Got a budget of $20,000 and think you have to buy a used car? Nissan's Versa says not so fast. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, Head of Consumer Insights at CarGurus. We're here with a 2024 Nissan Versa. It's a sleek, subcompact sedan that's one of a dying breed. Cheap new cars. The fully loaded model you see here stickers for just under $23,000, including destination, and a base model stickers for about $18,000. That makes it one of the cheapest new models on the market today, but there's one catch. Is it a deal breaker? And should you choose this over something used? And finally, what do you get for that money? Let's go spend some time with this and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, let's start by taking a look at the exterior. The Versa is the subcompact car in Nissan's lineup. It sits below the Sentra and the Altima. Nissan gave this a refresh for 2023, so it's a really nicely designed vehicle. Smaller cars like this are actually harder to design and give the same proportions as larger cars. So Nissan did a really nice job. This is a very sleek, upscale looking model. As I mentioned, we're testing a fully loaded SR trim, about $23,000. Part of that price is about $400 for this paint. I love this paint. It's called Scarlet Ember. Gives it a really nice sort of premium feel. We've got some SR badging here on the grille. The grille itself has been redesigned. You also have Nissan's new logo up front. And then here we've got really nice daytime running lamps integrated into halogen headlights. Turning to the side, this is where you can see the proportions of the car the best. Really nicely designed. Doesn't look clunky like some of the other subcompact cars can look. Our SR has 17-inch alloy wheels. The mid-grade, that's the SV, will have 16-inch alloy wheels, while the base, that's the S, has 15-inch steel wheels. Finally, at the back, the SR trim has this lip spoiler right here. We also have the SR badging, the revised Nissan logo, and then down below, we've got some faux carbon fiber trim. That's kind of cool. And one more thing I want to point out, these are parking sensors. Yes, on a $23,000 car, you can get parking sensors. That's pretty cool. All right, let's talk powertrains. Under the hood is a 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine. This makes 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. That may not sound like a lot of power, but it is on par with some of the rivals to this Versa. That's like the Kia Rio or the Mitsubishi Mirage. The nice thing about that, though, is it's very efficient. The version we're testing here is rated by the EPA at 32 miles per gallon in the city, 40 on the freeway, and 35 overall. But as I mentioned, there is a catch to the $18,000 S base model, and that's that it comes with a manual transmission. If you want that S model with the CVT, it's going to be an extra $1,600. Now, turning to the interior, Nissan has done a really nice job of giving you some really cool connectivity and comfort features despite this car's cheap price point. So as I mentioned, we're in an SR trim. That means we have an 8-inch touchscreen here. This has wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto connectivity. That's pretty cool. Our SR trim and the mid-grade SV trim get a 7-inch digital display for the dashboard that's configurable. Again, that's pretty cool at this price point. Meanwhile, that SV trim and the base S have a 7-inch screen for the infotainment system. Our loaded version also has a digital display here for the climate control. You're not going to find that on the other trims. We've got a pair of USB ports right here, a wireless smartphone charging pad down below, and then in here, another USB connection port. And then throughout the cabin, there's some really nice touches that Nissan included. You've got this faux carbon trim that actually kind of matches what I showed you in the back of the vehicle on the exterior. All trims are going to have this stitching right here on the dashboard. That's a really nice touch at this price point. There are some sort of hard plastics up here, but Nissan has done a nice job of masking them, making them look a little more upscale. Finally, our SR trim has these sport seats. Nissan calls them zero gravity. Now, I've never been to space, don't know what that means, but I do know that they are comfortable and they've got really nice bolstering. All right, now to rear seat space. And yes, this is a subcompact car, but that doesn't mean you don't have meaningful space back here. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seats where I would have it. If I'm sitting up there, I'm 6'1", so basically I'm sitting behind myself. And as you can see, it's pretty good room. I've got more than enough leg room. Headroom gets a little tight. My head does hit just a little bit. I gotta sort of scooch down a little bit. This Versa does have less headroom back here than the Kia Rio or the Mitsubishi Mirage, but I do think there is plenty of usable space back here, and that is nice. Another thing that I like is that the seats are actually pretty comfortable. Sometimes they're a penalty box in cheap cars like this, but here, yeah, you could spend some time back here, maybe get your friends for a road trip, and everyone's going to be comfortable. And finally, to the trunk space. This is another area where the Versa really impresses. There's a lot of room back here. 14.7 cubic feet of space. That's definitely more than the Kia Rio or the Mitsubishi Mirage. A lot of useful practicality there. And another nice thing that I like is that this trunk opening is pretty big, so you can get stuff in there pretty easily. And if that's not enough, the rear seats are split 60-40 and fold down flat. All right, next up, driving impressions. And as I mentioned, this Versa has 122 horsepower. That's about par for the course when it comes to subcompact sedans, but it definitely feels underpowered at times. Around town, it's actually pretty good. This is a small car. You don't expect it to have tons of power, and you don't notice it. You don't feel underpowered. But sometimes when you get on like an on-ramp or you're already on the freeway, traveling at speed, and you go to pass somebody, that's where you are gonna feel a little bit underpowered. Not a deal breaker by any means, but just something to keep in mind. Be sure to take it for a test drive and see what you think. Another thing I want to point out is the transmission. As I mentioned, this has a CVT. That's a type of automatic transmission that really only has one gear or one speed. It's not shifting like a traditional automatic will. But Nissan has done a really nice job of programming into this transmission some artificial shift points. So when you do floor it, it does feel like it's downshifting a little bit. The engine will still rev kind of loud sometimes when you need power, when you go to pass somebody. But overall, this is a nicely tuned transmission considering this is a budget car. So this has a CVT, but what do you guys think? Have you ever driven a car with a CVT? Does yours even have it? Do you know the difference between that or an automatic, or do you not even care? Let us know your experience with these transmissions in the comments below. Otherwise, the driving experience in the Versa is pretty good. We're in an SR trim, so that means it has larger wheels and tires, which kind of degrades the ride quality a little bit. It does feel a little stiff, especially over rougher roads, but again, not a deal breaker. It actually might make the SV with the smaller rims more comfortable to drive, so be sure you test drive that one. Meanwhile, I really like the steering feel in this Versa. Nissan has always been able to program in nice steering feel into its vehicles, so I like that. Visibility is great. You can see out of this vehicle very well. And finally, the cabin is actually pretty quiet. There's really no wind noise coming in. There is a little bit of road noise, but that gets back to kind of the stiff suspension. So overall, this is a pretty comfortable car. The driving experience doesn't feel like you're in something too cheap or too tinny. This feels like a well-built vehicle that could withstand a lot of abuse. Another thing I like is how many standard safety features Nissan has included on all trims of this Versa. And who doesn't love extra safety features, right? Whether it's a first car for a new driver, a teenager in your household, or for yourself. So some of those things include automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alerts, and rear automatic braking. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2024 Nissan Versa subcompact sedan. Pros, well, it's a great price point and comes with plenty of standard safety features. And we love the styling inside and out. And finally, it's got great fuel economy. Cons, well, sometimes the engine does feel underpowered and the ride can be a little too stiff in daily driving. Finally, to hit that absolute base price, you've got to go with a manual transmission. But overall, we really do like this Versa. We think it's a great choice whether you're shopping for a first car for your teenager or looking for something economical for yourself. So for reviews or listings of this Versa or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. Before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.